Designers, let's draft an armhole princess dart bustier. So mark your vertical measurements. Shoulder to bust point, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist, shoulder to your hip or the length of the bodice or the top you want. I want mine at 19 inches. So I marked 19 and a half inches. All right. So you rule out your lines like this. Here is your bust point, your waist, and then the shoulder to the full length of the top. Now put your across back measurements divided into 2, and then put your neck width measurement and then your neck depth measurement. I'm using 3 by 3 inches because I'm a small person. And then on the across back line, drop down by 1 inch, connect it to the end of the neck width. Okay. From the shoulder slope, insert your armhole depth measurement, which is the armhole depth measurement divided into 2. Okay, that will give you your chest line, and then from the fold, mark out your across back. That will give you where the armhole depth will end. Armhole depth line will end. Okay, and then you connect it. Then you mark out your armhole curve. Next, your nipple to nipple measurements, divide that into 2, add ½ inches, and mark it on the lines that you see me marking. Connect these lines. After that, you're going to work on our dart. Because my bust is 34 inches, I am using 1.75 inches for the dart. Okay, you mark the dart out all the way to the under bust, and then you're going to draw a curve from the under bust to meet that line on the bust point line. Okay, just like this. Some people will step down the bust point line with 1 inch and connect it the way I connected the curve. Okay, so I'm going to do it in that way. So we're going to step down the bust point line with 1 inch. Okay, and then we are going to connect from there to the middle of the armhole, just as you see me doing. Okay, do it exactly like so. And then, because we want to prevent any gaping around the armhole, we are going to step inside where this point is, ½ inch here, ½ inch there, the point on the armhole, and then we're going to connect it to that point above the bust point line. Connect it, and then this will take care of any gaping that might result thereof. Next, we want to ensure that after attaching our side to our center front, it's going to fit perfectly, and there wouldn't be any shortage. Okay, that is why you see me extending the armhole. I extended the armhole by how much dart I took in on the armhole. Okay, and then I added ½ inch more. So I used 1.5 inch to extend the armhole outside. And so what I'm doing now is I am marking my body measurements divided into 4, and then I'm replacing the dart intake, and then I'm adding my sewing allowance of 2.5 inches. All right, on the bust, on the under bust, on the bust without any dart allowance added, on the waist with that allowance added, and then on the hip with that allowance added. And then I decided to give the side a bit of a curve. Now we are cutting out. I added ½ inch over the shoulder so that I can get the length of the top that I want. So we are cutting out the cap, cutting out the armhole like this, removing the dart that remains from the center front, and then this is basically it. This is it. You'll notice that once it's sewn, it's going to fit perfectly, and there might be a little bit of excess which you will trim out. You prefer the excess than shortage. Okay, so this method will give you just that. Beautiful. Now on to the back pattern. For the back, you're going to need those exact body blocks without the underbust. Okay, you don't need the underbust measurement here. So your bust point line, your waist, and then the length of the top that you wanted. All right. I used a neck width of 3 inches, neck depth of 1.25 inch, and then of course you'll be sure to first mark your across back measurement. All right, drop it down by 1 inch, connect it to the end of the neck width, drop down with your armhole depth measurement, giving you your chest line. All right, and then insert your across back measurement, connect it to the shoulder slope, and then put in your bust measurement divided into 4. Mark it, mark the midpoint of your armhole deadline, connect it to get your armhole curve. Now put your bust span measurement plus the joining allowance over here, and then you're just going to find the midpoint of this armhole curve, and then you're going to connect with a curve just like this. We don't want so much cap, we don't want any cap at all, in fact, on the back. So that is why we do it this way without the underbust. And then you take in your you add your dart allowance, all right, and then you add your sewing allowance, and then you connect the points. This is the back, guys. Because I gave the front side a curve on the bottom, I decided to, of course, you have to do the same for the back also. So this is it. This is basically it. If you want a zip line at the back, center back, be sure to add your zip allowance. I'm going to add mine on the sides. That's why you didn't see any zip allowance. Okay, so be sure to add zip allowance on the center front if you want a zipper at the center front. And this is basically it, guys. Be sure to also extend the armhole for the back. It shouldn't be by match. By 1 inch will be okay. Okay, unlike the front. And then you connect it to the original bust line, the bust divided into 4 line. Okay, so this is basically it, guys. At this point, I want to say, if you haven't subscribed or liked this video, please be sure to do so. Please be sure to share. If you have any questions, leave that in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to address them all. Thank you so much. Bye bye.